Peter Raza, 33 Woodcrest Road. I have a few issues. First, my lawn was destroyed the first 6 feet. It was all brushed back in the street. I do have videos of that in case anyone disputes that. Second, I have a lot of concerns about the stone dust that was pushed out, and you told me that they would have material safety data sheets here. I'd like to know what is in that stone. I do have material data sheets for some other companies. The crushed rock probably contains silicon dioxide, some iron and so on, which causes silicosis. It's associated with cancer and so on. I had to breathe that in last October. I had to breathe that in Tuesday. The dust was coming up over our house. I had to close all the windows on a hot day. And, it's not healthy. And I couldn't keep the cars out. I'd like to know what is in there. I want to see the MSDS sheet. You've got to have one on there because it's a product. So it is a hazard to health. And people are being exposed to that. And again, other MSDS sheets state that it can cause silicosis and associated with cancer. So I'd like to see that information. Thank you.
Bill Kovacs, 25 Oakwood Drive. First of all, you've already answered one question about what's going to transpire over the next couple of weeks. But the one thing that I'd like to know is, how do you determine where to start when you do this chip sealing? I mean, how do you determine what roads have to be done? Okay. Does anybody actually go out and look at the streets? Okay. The reason I ask is because Oakwood Drive over the years has become a very kind of a docile neighborhood. The kids, most of the kids, my son, for example, his friends are all grown. My son's 27 years old. He's living in Ansonia. He's getting married next year. So a lot of the kids are gone. A lot of people in my neighborhood are now retired, so the traffic is way down. Quite frankly, Oakwood Drive really didn't need to be done, but it was done anyway. That's why I was just wondering if anybody actually comes out and looks to see what roads have to be done. Okay. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wayne Finkel. I live at 1J Lane. First question I have is, what caused the oil to fail in the first place? It should have set up. We didn't get an answer to that. You said you used a, top product. What caused it not to set up and hold the rock? Secondly, you came out the other day. First, I'd like to say I think you made a great effort also to go out and clean. I know what's involved with having to clean those yards and the roads and everything, and I commend you on getting out there and doing what you did there, okay, cleaning the yards off and cleaning the roads up. But like the other day, you came out and you resanded. We had the rainstorm. Where we go from here, J Lane right now has maybe 20% of the road sanded, and the sand is gone. It's down in the storm drains. That would be my next question. Are you going to come back and sand again? The following weeks, when it gets to be 80 and 90 degrees, are you going to come back and resand as needed as this oil comes up? Because I'm sure I took Tony over one day and showed him it just bubbles through. It's like all little bubbles all over the place. And as it gets hotter, we're going to get more of it. And that would be my other question. Are you planning on coming back and readdressing the sand issues on the road as we go along?
Good evening. My name is Ray Wilhelm. I've been the operator of Colony Construction for the last 55 years. 35 years of this was about paving. I'm quite familiar with it. I just want to share my observation here. Briefly, I would like to say what we had last year in stone was too large. This is what we call a half-inch screen. I just give this as an example. This is what we call a quarter-inch screen. Now, what happened is the suppliers of the stone, they run these screens and trommels as trommel screens. They get that stone, and when it comes to the end of the year, like we did in October or when it was late in the year, these screens get what we call washed out. The stone makes them larger, subsequently the stone is larger. The stone that we used last year, in my opinion, was too large. Subsequently, you have the lower leverage. The bigger the stone, the less resistance it has. The tire tracks and the plow, which is exceptionally in this past winter, naturally dislodged the stone. It isn't really the oil, it isn't the application. I don't see fault in anywhere except perhaps by the supplier of the stone who, for economizing, does not change the screens until the winter time when everything is shut down. I allowed myself to go into Socrates Pond where there's a stockpile of stone, noticeably much smaller than what we used last fall. So subsequently, I don't foresee any big problems with what we're going to do in the future. And I hope that this will be a success for which you're looking for. And I don't see any fault on CIMO Sealing or anyone, with the exception perhaps for the big size of the stone that was used. And that it was the supplier over in North Brantford, I assume, right? Because I recognize the stone. This stone here probably did not come from them. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there is no blame to be passed around other than we had too big a stone, too much winter, too much plowing, and the tires gone over it, threw the stone all over, and it became a disaster. And nobody was happy with the bleeding, the stone. Somebody got a bad tire, got a hole in the tire from the stone being a triangular point, things like that. Of course, it was very annoying to see the stone being plowed in the front lawns. Of course, they end up in the garage and everywhere else. That's principally the negative sides that everybody can talk about. And I don't foresee, with using this material here, of you having any problem in the future. Thank you.
Good evening. James Simpson, 4 Falbo Drive. Typically, when you come to these types of hearings, people are up in arms. As a former Board of Finance member, people are up in arms. My road needs to be done. All these type of repairs need to be done. However, I just feel that Falbo Drive was, and I think I'd speak for quite a few of my neighbors as well, was in fairly good condition. I shared that with the first selectman as well. But interestingly enough, we live in New England, and at the infancy of the chips being put down, of course, the early snowstorm puts it everywhere. And the point being is that, and I'll agree with my neighbor here, that not to assign any blame to anyone, however, this is a very bothersome process. I mean, it's frustrating. It's, as people are maintaining their yards and their lawns, their flower gardens, there's lots of repair work that we have to do individually with our own properties, understanding that. However, though, recently we just put the cloud down, and cars just typically going through the neighborhood, it's a complete mess. I mean, I just had my house power washed last year. I'll have it done again. What's the corrective measure here? Well, I don't know. I mean, we live in New England, but I just feel that if we could try to gauge the weather a little bit closer to the 80-degree times, I think we'll be much better served. My position is that Falbo Drive, leave it alone. But I'm not sure that I'll gain any agreement with that. But I mean, I speak for Falbo Drive for several of my neighbors, and we're good with that. Okay? And thank you.
I'm Rose Tanner from 23 Colony Road. I just have a couple of things so I didn't forget. I have to disagree. I think the beginning when this all came about, I think it was October, I remember us sitting at the bus stop saying, wow, it's too cold for this to start now. We got a little bit of an early winter. I think that was a big problem, a little poor judgment maybe. I'm not an expert by any means, but I do recall that. Also, my curiosity of our medical bills at all involved in any damages. My daughter has asthma. The dust is being tracked in the house. We're at the bus stop twice a day. You know, it's in the air, a lot of traffic on our road. She has been to the doctor a little bit more than usual since it's been put down. So the material safety data sheet is also a high concern of mine because I believe that silica is quite, you know, cause for respiratory distress in an asthmatic person. My one question, and again, I'm not an expert in doing the best I can to my knowledge, but was it around $4.7 million that was spent on the fish ladder? The number could be a little off. But I'm curious why that was priority over our roads first, knowing every winter, obviously, there's damage done. We need to prepare ahead. Oh, it's a state? Okay, that's why I'm asking. I wasn't sure, because I wasn't aware. Okay. Okay, I was just curious, because, I mean, I see it being done, and it was kind of like, okay, why, you know, that's why I'm asking. So basically, like I said, we're at the bus stop twice a day, and it is just getting tracked in the house at a high, you know, it's kind of annoying. But anyway, I think that's pretty much... Okay. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I even brought shoes that I have. I mean, it's all over the bottom of our shoes because we're out there twice a day with my daughter, all of us. I mean, we try to avoid it, but it's kind of hard. Okay. 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 Yeah, I mean, the dust is honestly more concerning to me because it's my daughter's health that I've been having. She goes to Yale every 3 months, and it's, you know, they ask every 3 months, has anything changed? And I have said, you know, well, there are a lot of things going around in the air from the roads, and I don't know what's in them. So, thank you.
Ron Burgess Jr., 27 Colony Road. First off, I want to thank the committee for allowing us townspeople to speak like this. Most of the time, stuff gets pushed by us, and we don't get our chance to speak. A few questions I have is, from my understanding and research I've done, chip sealing is, what I understand, is for low-impact areas. We have an average between 700 and 1,000 cars on Colony Road itself a day. My other concerns are, what are we going to do with the roads, like Colony Hill going down towards South Main, or is it Woodcrest Drive, the little dead end there? There's about a 6-inch hump in the middle of the road, and there's about 2-inch divots on Colony Road. Now, if we just chip seal over those, we're just going to have another issue. You know, that stuff's just going to heave, and we're going to be back where we were. My other concern for you guys to look at is the winters and the natural occurrences or natural disasters, if you will, that we have been having. You know, a lot of tree work has been done, excuse me, specifically due to tornadoes, whatever you want to call it. Rainstorms have been increasing a lot more, as we saw the other night. A lot of the stone dust was washed away. We have to take that aspect into it. My other concern is a lot of people in our neighborhood exercise, a lot of walking, kids out, a lot of people with pets, and a lot of them have stressed to me about their dogs coming into the houses with the oil on them, and that's a pain to clean. You know, luckily, you know, my dog has been pretty good. You know, she lets me do what I need to, but I know other people have had to go to vets, and they've had to, you know, incur that cost of being clean. So that's just another consideration I want you guys to take into effect. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bruce Adams. Good evening. 7 Omar Street. I kind of respectfully disagree with when the rocks started coming off. It was not at winter time. It was in the fall. It just really never set up on Omar Street, at least. I can't speak for other roads, but it definitely was not set up. It was all fall. The rocks were coming off, and then in the winter, of course, it got a lot worse. So I just wanted to add that in there. I just respectfully disagree that it never set up. I can appreciate, the path going forward is it looks like it's going to be the stone dust and more chip sealing. I don't think the town has any recourse in that, but I am concerned that where are we going to be? What if it happens again, right? And the only other question I have is, how many times before has this process failed for you? I mean, have you had other towns that have had this issue, or is this the first issue that you ever had in operating? No, I didn't know, so that's why I'm asking, right? Thank you, sir. So you're going to see how it sets up and then make an assessment? So we don't know what really the path forward is then? We have an idea what we're going to do, right? And then we'll wait and see, and then we'll come back here again? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Bailey Cook, Patton Avenue, 58 years there. So I've seen the gamut of what's going on up in the Patton Avenue area, even to when I was a little boy, when you used to put the oil down in the sand on those hot July days and we'd go in the house with it stuck all over us, even back then. But like a few of my neighbors have already stated, I've seen the cycle as far as the families now, where of course I grew up there, now 61 years old. The Burgesses, the Whites, a lot of other people have young kids riding the bikes, the whole 9 yards, and it is a mess. But in saying that, I think it's very good that the first selectman has taken the bull by the horns, not put his head in the sand, and given us, the townspeople, the taxpayers, this night to come out and talk to you about it. My concern, I'm concerned for all my neighbors, of course, but of course I live on Patton Avenue. Patton Avenue is deteriorating from both ends. I'm up at the dead end. And over the years, the road used to go past 42 Patton Avenue. There's a big tree there that's supposed to be the landmark of where the official road ends. And over the years, it's broken off, the plows have hit it, and we're almost up to the middle of my property where the road is just deteriorated to the point where it's almost ending. I don't know if you have a list of, or how you rate what streets actually need paving, but I think Patton Avenue needs paving. I don't think the chip sealing down where Flipowicz's and Chesnovich's used to live, down the bottom of the hill on the bad corner there, that's all broken up, and in the middle of the hill is all broken up, and I don't think chip sealing, from what I've seen, is going to really do anything for that. I think we need paving on at least that road. And again, I appreciate the time to discuss it with you guys.
Gotta pay for it? Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, that's how it works. Tara Petrino, 18 Woodcrest Road. I've been asked by my son to speak for the kids in the neighborhood who do ride their bikes. I've lived at my home for 15 years, so I do recall chip sealing in the past, and there's always some initial inconvenience when it first goes down. You don't necessarily want to walk on it. It's hard to push a stroller on it and ride bikes. But obviously this year it's been more difficult. The rocks were always loose. They never really set. And that's a bit of a safety hazard for the kids riding bikes. Even if they are conscientious and not reckless, it's much easier to wipe out. And with the cars coming down, I do see police presence in the morning, which is great, but we do have people who will drive very fast down the road, particularly in the morning on the way to work. And I don't know if chip sealing is for high traffic, high speed areas, but people will get up there. And so my concern is for people wiping out, particularly even now there's still loose rocks on Woodcrest Road. There's still piles along the curbs, especially on the even side of the road that have collected there. And so there is some concern for safety there. And I wanted to know if those rocks are going to be cleaned up prior to the process restarting. Okay.
Hi, Mike Horrible, 12 Oakwood Drive. First of all, I'd like to say I agree with Mr. Bruce Adams, who said that the chips were coming up in October, far before the roads got snowed on and before the roads got plowed. I question the method itself, and I really question the switch from the chip seal to the sand seal. What is the life expectancy for the sand seal method? Okay, so the sand was put down to absorb the oils, as you said earlier. Okay, so what is the benefit to our roads at this point? Is there any benefit from the work that you have done already? Okay, I notice on Woodcrest Road in particular that because of the traffic patterns using the center of the roads are clear and the rocks all go to the sides, which leads me to think that will the sides of the roads that have been chip sealed or sand sealed or swept up or whatever, will your method really fix the sides of the road or only those areas where there was traffic volume? So the edges of the road might not have as much benefit from your chip sealing or sand sealing or sanding, but the traffic does not go uniform across the road. It appears to me at the center of the roads where there's more traffic areas that the oil has sealed a lot of the cracks, okay? On the edges of the road, I would question its effectiveness, and I would recommend that before any other process is done and after the sand or chips are swept up again, that you have the town engineer or pavement expert review that before another method is laid down on the road. Is ultimately the sand seal a method that the town is going to consider for these roads this year? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Gretchen Yeager, 8 Woodcrest Road. I just have a question for Kurt. As taxpayers, why aren't we notified when you're going to do something like this so that we can prepare for the eventualities? Yeah, when you were going to initially do the streets.
Elizabeth White, 41 Patton Ave, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you for tonight and just say that there are great things going on in Seymour, and it's unfortunate that this is what's making the news. We can't change what has happened. We can only change moving forward. And I guess my concerns, and I am not an expert, this is not my area of expertise, but the analogy was used to me of wallpaper. And so if you have wallpaper coming off the wall, like we have tar seeping through and the rocks coming up, if you go ahead and you paint over that wallpaper, you know, the wallpaper eventually just peels back again. And I guess that's my concern personally moving forward with whatever method we choose, that, you know, you mentioned milling. That's not really an option. It's not affordable. But what's going to stop that tar, whatever is under there, from whatever method we use, not to adhere? I was hoping that we were going to come here tonight and hear you used the wrong oil, or it was the wrong time of year, that you knew what had happened. But given that everything was done correctly and it's still not adhering, that's even kind of more concerning to me and unsettling. So just, you know, going forward, what's going to happen, because that's there. And I understand you're trying to get it up, but it's, you know, it's still bubbling through. So thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to know if we're talking about certain streets. I'm actually on the corner of Halsey and Colony. Halsey is a hill. It starts at the top, come down, we have a stop sign. Someone did bring up a good point, which I did forget to mention, because my daughter rides her bike on the street along with her friends. And the cars are starting to wipe out coming down to stop at the stop sign. So if it is another, you know, I know you haven't made a decision yet, but if I can just note that Halsey being a hill, people obviously speed. And they do come down the bottom, and I've had to scream out my front yard, slow down, because it's kind of not slippery, but you know, with the rocks, they are having trouble, and there are kids all over the street. And I also wanted to know, someone brought up the point of being notified. I did message you, I think, and I sent my email across, but we didn't receive any of the letters, along with other people I've spoke to in our area, and it seems like actually our area is the most affected. So how do we update that to get the letters and the notifications of when things are going to be done? Okay. I mean, it's just, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar, it's a very, and, you know, people come right down and
Good evening. Teresa Conroy, 177 Skokrat Street. One of the residents in the neighborhood forwarded me the letter that went out this past weekend. So I inquired into DEP to see if there were any potential environmental problems. And they came back to me and said, I told them in your letter about the sand being applied this week. And now you're saying stone dust, so I'm not sure if there's a little bit difference between the sand and the stone dust. Is there? Can I ask that? Okay, because they're saying usually no sand, and they capitalize that, is used as that asphalt will not wet the surface of the sand. It will just ball up and cause additional failure of the product. Will we be seeing that coming down now? Okay, because that was one of their concerns. And then what they said from the letter that Kurt had sent out was, when the contractor fails to use the right size aggregate, and I believe Mr. Willoughby was talking to that, or that it has sand or dust in it, wrong weight asphalt, wrong mixed rate of water, poor homogenation, gets a rain too soon after the application, etc., the product fails to perform properly, and what has been described in the letter occurs. Should the contractor apply too much of the asphalt mix, again, failure by asphalt bleeding out at high temperatures where the asphalt softens. So those are just some of the possible reasons that they were saying that this might have been happening. So I didn't know if you could address any of those, if you felt that everything that they just said you were able to do correctly? Okay. And just my other concern was, we talked about the snow and the plowing, and we know, we live in New England, and we're going to have snowstorms. We use chip sealing in this town all over, and we've seen it work well. So if that's going to be an issue moving forward with chip sealing, then I would recommend that we don't use that anymore. And then my one last concern is Socran's Pond is right down below all these roadways. Is there any of this oil leaching down into Socran's Pond that we know of? If you could find out for me, like, for sure, I'd appreciate that. All right, thank you. And the final thing is that they said with the contractor and the town engineer that hopefully this should be remedied soon. So thank you for your time.
Rita Millak, 13 Patton Avenue. I have the house on the bottom of the hill, right on the pond, and we're talking about the stone dust. Well, when it rained, all the stone dust from down the road went into the drain, excuse me, and into the pond. And you don't think that's going to cause any kind of environmental problem? I mean, seriously, there is no sand on Patton Avenue right now. It's all at the bottom of the hill, on both sides, meaning at the bottom of the first hill and the bottom of our hill. Okay, so you're not, there's no worry about the pond and all the fish and different animals that live in there from the stone dust? The mud, actually, that went into the pond last night, the other night. Thank you.
Hi, Frank Deanna, 8 Wild Duck Road. I was just wondering, before you mentioned that we need some hot days and no, without any rain. So how many hot days do we need? How hot does it have to be? And well, I'm asking because I want to know if we, if we get 3 hot days in a row and then we still see the stuff seeping up, should we start calling up and complaining, or should we wait longer? So give us a number. So there's no answer. There's no way to know when. So you don't even know when it's going to be.
Good evening. My name is Maria Blackwell. I am from 1 Omar Street in Seymour. I have sat here this evening and listened to both sides, and I'm still a little confused. It sounds like after you're going to assess, you don't really have a plan. Am I misunderstanding something here? It's like you don't really know what you're going to do once you're going to assess it, but there's no other plan. Did I misunderstand? All right, what are some of the options that you're going to look at? You must have some idea. Could you tell us what? Okay, are there others? Okay. Mm-hmm. But you do, okay, but you do have a few options in terms of a course of action in mind that you're going to plan on, that you, in the back of your heads right now, am I correct? Because, okay, all right. Okay. Right. I understand that, but it just sounded like after we assessed, there didn't sound like there was a real plan going on, and I was a little concerned about that. I mean, we can assess, but at some point here, you're experts, you should have an idea of what the next step is going to be. Because obviously we know we have to fix this, and it has to be fixed quickly. I mean, I've talked to you in January, you were very upfront and honest with me about it, and, and I appreciate you having us come today and talk about it, but I'm concerned, as everyone else is, and I know you are too. So it just didn't sound like there was, we're going to assess it, but okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. And I didn't break your microphone.
My name is David Van Wart. I live at 24 Colony Road. Actually, question for Dennis. You'd probably be the best person to answer this. Generally, what times of the year do you chip seal the roads? When are they supposed to be done? My only question is you say the tar's coming up and you say the stone dust, sand, whatever you want to call it, is going to absorb that or most of it. I don't know anything about road work, but my thought process would have been if you did it in the summer, it would have had a better chance to adhere. It would have stayed a lot better. I mean, you say you need the weather. Yeah, people from the news media right here, I'm sure they'll help you figure out when the weather's not going to rain for the next week, whatever. I'm sure they'll happily tell you. They got people that get paid to do that. Exactly. So, I mean, there even 1 in 3 chance, you got a better chance than like the other day you guys put down stone dust, and that night you had 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain. I mean, you knew there was a chance of thunderstorms that day. I just don't get the thought process of waiting until October to put down something that probably could have worked a lot better if you'd done it in the summer months versus October and knowing that, again, it's New England. We have no idea when snow is going to start. So it's just my thought process. I think somebody messed up somewhere. We all know you're not going to stand up and say, yep, I messed up, but you all know you did, and that's basically all I'm saying.
Ricky Petrino, 18 Woodcrest Road. Not to beat a dead horse, but I think I have to agree with what other people were saying about the stone never really setting, because even after it was down, even for a few weeks and was driven on, there were still piles of rock all over the side of the road. So, and because of that, and I guess I kind of thought that that was happening because that's kind of what happened the last time it was done on Woodcrest Road 8 to 10 years ago, whenever it was. And that's why I had a couple of meetings with some of the Board of Selectmen when the note went out in the newspaper that this was going to be done, that I didn't think it needed to be done because Woodcrest Road was fine, and I remember what had happened last time, and I would rather leave it the way it was. But then you said you would only put it down on a road that was kind of in good shape to prolong the life of it for 5 to 7 years. So how many times would you chip seal a road before it? I guess you prolong the life 5 to 7 years until you have money to pave it. And so how many times would you chip seal it before you pave it? Like, until you have until you can afford it? Or is there a number of times? How many times can you chip seal the same road? Mhm. Okay. Right. Okay. And I don't know how many times it has been done on Woodcrest Road, but it's been done twice in the 14 years that we've been there, so I guess we're at our max if we're only going to be done twice, so I would think this wouldn't be done again in that general area anyway. So that was my only question.
Joe Millock, 13 Patton Avenue. I'm just wondering, I'm here 17 years, and in that 17 years, Patton Avenue hasn't got chip sealed, and the roads in the surrounding area have. And I questioned the last administration on why wasn't Patton Avenue chip sealed. And I was told that it needed extensive work and that it was going to be repaved. And as of today, it hasn't. And I've heard a lot of other people who say, take us off the list. So those roads, take them off the list, see if we can put Patton Avenue up there. That'd be nice. The rest of the roads, they seem to be in good shape, according to them. So please, when you reevaluate, can you take a look at Patton Avenue? It's really falling apart. And from the corner coming down the hill, the road is actually sliding and it's going over the manhole covers. So there is a problem there. It's an engineering problem. It needs to be fixed. Thank you.
people talked about the effect in Socranes Pond and the wetlands in there. Last night, when it was raining, there was 2 white rivers of dust going down into the storm sewers. That's sedimentation. That has an effect on the wetlands. That has an effect in Socranes. It's already filling up with sand and other debris that has been washing down, so that didn't help the situation. Because I came back here now, I didn't get an answer to my question. Evidently, we're going to be subjected to this rock dust for at least 3 or 4 more weeks. And I want to know, what is the composition of the ingredients in the rock dust? And, okay, go ahead. I didn't get an answer. I was told that they would be here today. I emailed Kurt, and I said I want to see those. I think that's very important that people in this audience know what's in there. I want to know what's in there. Is it silica? Is it silicon dioxide? Why don't you have those sheets? You're applying something to our streets, subjecting our children, our residents, people with asthma. I have asthma. We're subjecting that to us, and yet we're breathing it, and and you guys don't know what's in it. It's your company. Don't you know what you're putting on the roads? No, when? I mean, are you going to have another meeting and tell people? Are you going to email everybody here? And the second thing, once those components are listed, what are the hazards identified with each of those components? Come on, you guys must know what's in there. You just don't want to say it. What would you say is in there? Yeah, I mean, what? Calcium, iron? No, I'm sorry. I was told they would be here. I was told explicitly they would be here. You did. Sure, it is, but are we subjected to 3 or 4 weeks of dust with that stuff? No, not in those situations. I could put up a building or something. I'm not getting clouds of dust coming over my roof, over my neighbor's house and everything, into our house. Now, these are people here that have health concerns. I can't believe that your company, that you guys don't know what you're putting on in those rocks. I cannot believe that. These are material safety data sheets. I worked in the house for 40 years. I had to have this available to the public. Anybody that wanted to see it, anytime, I had to know about it. We went for safety training. Do you guys go for safety training? Do you have safety training for your well, why don't you know what's in it? I think I'm being snowed here. I'm sorry. It's a hazardous condition. If anybody wants to see MSDS sheets from other companies, rock dust, I have them here. You can take a look at it.
What do you use? Whatever I've done is trouble. But I know there must be something. Pardon? When you go up my stairs, there's like black oil marks. But you didn't even realize it at the beginning. It comes from our food. No, it's the carpet. It's stained my white ceramic tile, and I was able to scrub that off.